Welcome back to a brand new episode of Full Metal RPG. I'm your host, Brendan Carrion, and today I am joined by an all-star lineup of old-school podcasting motherfuckers. Of course, we got Richie Buzzkill on the Wheels of Steel. What up? What up? What up, RBK? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right. Just, get behind the Wheels of Steel and get all the other videos rolling,
Sick. Love it. Thank you, bro. Thank you for doing that. And we have my co-host from Realm of Fire. We got Rob. What up? Rob's here, bringing it in from across the ocean. How you doing, dude?
I'm good, thank you. It's very warm here today. Yeah, it's not Arizona warm. You don't need to mention Arizona warm, but it is warm.
Yeah, okay. We don't want to teleport to England. It's really annoying to teleport to England right now.
But have you heard about how warm it is in Arizona?
No, I've not heard. How warm is it in Arizona? Tell me that. Let's get someone on from Saskatchewan and they can tell us how cold it is in Canada, eh? Yeah.
And we have a very special guest today. Long time coming. Why have we put it off so fucking long? We have Nathan motherfucking Bean from the Dungeon Punks podcast, from Rotten Hell, also from Tapped Nerve and not solo, but like RPG adventure writing. Nathan Bean, dude, what is up?
How's it going, mate? All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on after all these years. A little bit of Full Metal RPG history here for those who haven't been down since episode 1. In the glory days of 2015, I was marketing my brand new podcast, Full Metal RPG, on Instagram quite a bit, and I encountered another nascent RPG podcast called Dungeon Punks on Instagram. At that point, Nathan was running the Instagram, and we both kind of hit it off, commenting on each other's shit. And I thought, wow, this is so great. It's so cool to have these guys across the ocean. They're doing something very similar. We seem to get along so well. Then, in December of 2015, Nathan was writing for a page that he managed called Core Hammer, and he wrote an article called, like, the 10 best things or whatever that you missed out on this year. And in that was a link to Full Metal RPG. It said, are you listening to Full Metal RPG, the podcast? If you're not, you're a fucking idiot. You should go listen to this fucking thing. And we watched, and we watched our numbers go from slowly coming up in little dribs and drabs to, and that was the moment that we became an actual podcast. I don't know if we ever would have got to where we're at if it wasn't for Nathan Bean. I don't know if we would have made it another 5 years if it wasn't for Nathan Bean. I contribute a whole hell of a lot of our success. That unbelievable shout out from this gentleman here. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me. Thank you so much for everything you've done for the podcast. Welcome.
Yeah, for sure.
You're very welcome. I would like to give myself some tips on success so I wasn't floundering through fucking life. Like I am. Give myself a boost. I might sell some books. But yeah, cheers, Brendan. It's my absolute pleasure. And I'm very happy to finally be here in your esteemed company.
Well, why don't you just kind of, if some of our listeners haven't listened to Dungeon Punks, and if they haven't, then shame on them. You should fucking do it. Why don't you introduce yourself and kind of tell us about what it is you do?
Okay, well, I'm Nate. This is kind of weird because it's normally me asking the questions. I don't like this level of scrutiny, but yeah. I like to be evasive, ask the questions, and then dip. Not like, yeah.
This is just the beginning. We're gonna go deep, real deep. Hope you wore clean shorts. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. So I guess if you haven't listened to the Dungeon Punks podcast, that was something we set up a few years ago. It literally came off the back of a blog that a bunch of us were writing. Just a load of dudes who used to be in punk and hardcore and metal bands who had kind of aged out of our youth culture and needed something else to do. So naturally, we went and started playing with toy soldiers, which it seemed like the right step. so yeah, we got back into that, and we just started applying the same enthusiasm we had for music and stuff towards gaming. And also we realized very quickly there was other people like us around who perhaps weren't so much your stereotypical type of gamers, who kind of kept it on the down low. And one thing or another, we sort of expanded upon that, built a blog, and more people flocked to our banner. And Low Core Hammer was formed. We did some events. We sort of turned our talents towards sort of fundraising, raising awareness of different things using the platform, the blog as a platform. Did some gaming events, made T-shirts. We also helped Nerd Gore, who some of you people may know. You've probably seen his work in. He's done all this stuff for metal bands, and he's recently doing the internal illustrations for Joe Diva's Lone Wolf, the late Joe Diva's Lone Wolf. He started doing that as well, and from there we just kind of like, I don't know, one thing leads to another. We got the podcast started because we couldn't do gaming so much, Warhammer so much anymore because time and finances didn't allow. And here we are. I don't really do the podcast so much anymore. That's kind of the other guys have kind of picked up and run with it a little bit, just because I get easily distracted and move on to different things. But yeah, I still sort of dip in from time to time and help out. And most of the stuff I do is kind of behind the scenes for Dungeon Punks now. And whether it's I just just designed a game, and that's kind of my focus right now. And music, and I'm a guy who does a lot of different things. I'm always farting around with something.
When I first met you, you were kind of in like school for writing. I don't know if it was like a graduate program or what. It seemed like you were doing a lot of creative writing, and since then you've released a lot of zines. It seems like you're writing a lot, and one of the things that you've just recently released is a module called the Judas Halo. Am I right?
Correct. Absolutely correct. Yeah, I went to always liked writing. Always been into it. It's something. I'm unfortunately, I'm one of the kind of people that does not play well with others. So writing is really well suited for me, because I just shut myself in a room and I can express what I need to do, and I haven't got to rely on anybody else or shout at anybody else. That's why sometimes being in a band was quite difficult for me. But and it also sometimes why doing the podcast is a little difficult for me. It's a group effort, and sometimes that's hard for me. But yeah, I always kind of been into writing, and a few years ago I decided that maybe if I want to do something as a living, I should probably get some kind of qualification for it. So I went to like a Open University, which is an online, it's basically university, but you do it online and stuff. Because once again, I can't stand being in rooms with people, so going to an actual university wasn't great for me.
That's an legit for sure.
Legit.
Yeah, you get it. Anyway, yeah, so I did that, but as it goes, they didn't really teach me a great deal of shit I didn't already know. That sounds stupid, but like anything else, I'm kind of self-taught. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love it.
So all I did was pay a bunch of money for people to tell me some shit I already knew, and
that's fucking love.
And now I owe them money.
That's university, mate. That's university.
Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck? I don't know why I waited this long in life to be told this suck shit. But so yeah,
Can
now I
just throw something in here really quick. Sorry, just throw something in really quickly. I've just realised that it was the Core Hammer blog that got me going again on miniatures and stuff.
Wow.
Not to make it all, kind of. 2015 was a very crucial point where it's where I heard from Full Metal RPG, and I was getting burnt out because I'd been playing Warhammer and the old Hammer movement was starting, and that was just this horrible gatekeepy sort of. And then I read the Core Hammer blog, and I was like, this is. And that started me sort of collecting like Chaos Marines again and like getting on that kind of thing. Also, more importantly, you taught me the insult melt well before Howie coined it. So I was using melt years before Howie.
I've never heard this. I've never understood this thing, like why somebody who's melted is like that's bad. I mean, it doesn't sound good, but like, I mean, wait.
It's just. I mean, the way I would look at it is like
absolute melt. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you wanted to put it into like kind of visual terms, Brendan, I would think of it like an ice cube is solid; it has form, but it's essentially just a puddle of water, isn't it? Really, that's it. And do you know what I mean? I use quilt as well. I call people wet quilt, wet wipe, anything that just kind of suggests like a kind of formless character with no spine.
Wonderful, perfect. Well, we should do some fucking RPG talking.
Please.
This episode
Stop talking
of
about me.
Fullmetal RPG. Well, we're gonna. Hey, we'll be back on that. This episode of Fullmetal RPG is brought to you by our newest patron. We got the homie Clutterbook, helping us out with keeping Fullmetal RPG rolling. I got some brand new cans because the ones that I've been using for 10 fucking years, when I was in bands, when I was audio engineering, when I was doing fucking road venue shit, they finally died. Fucking 10 years, got another pair.
It's very impressive.
Patrons. every fucking episode of fucking Fullmetal RPG, except maybe one or two, was used with those. And then one day they just stopped working. I literally thought they were going to last forever. Patrons were able to help me get another set. Thank you very much for your patronage. This is the stuff that we use it for. And thank you, Clutterbook. Thank you for helping us out with all that. And Clutterbook's on the fucking Discord where you can hang out with me and Richard, and Rob, and maybe at some point Nathan will come on. Just talk shit about role-playing games. He's laughing, which indicates he's probably not. But that's fair. That's fair. It's for some and not for others. It's we're very welcoming though.
You never know.
I've been told it's a good Discord. This is what I've been told. Anyway,
my mom says it's cool.
oh, your mom came on. Good. My mom won't. I wish my mom would. My mom's never listened to an episode.
Carrion. Mrs. Carrion, come on.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Mom. Anyway, so thank you, Clutterbook, and now we'll go on to the black hole.
The black hole.
The black hole is the ever-sucking void of time, money, resources, and energy that is role-playing, the greatest of hobbies. What have you all been up to in terms of your role-playing? Richard, we haven't heard much from you. What's crack-a-lackin'?
I played. We played the Rot Marches AP last week. Rob was DMing. That was rad.
Hello.
I also got to play another game of Borg with Scott, who is publishing his zine, and we played through the zine. And I'm spacing on the name. I think it's like for Psalm 3:7 or something. Yeah. I'll put in the link in the show notes because he's about to do his print run. So it was creepy and awesome. So that was great. That was great.
Good.
I also, we were working on, I got Vincent Baker's new game, The Wizard's Grimoire. So I'm looking forward to cracking into that one. So... And I picked up the new Ravenloft book, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So I'm going to dig into that a little bit and see if it actually brings the heat or not, as rumors.
This is the game that everybody is fucking crying about online because there's no monster stats in it, right? They decided to pass on monster stats. Which is what I hear.
Which is fine. Like, I don't give a shit about monster stats. I'll just make them up. It's 5e. Like, we've been playing it for how long? Like, and also, like, just like I was reading through some of the tables where you can roll to create dreadlords, right? Because Ravenloft used to be, and now is again, a bunch of dread domains, and it had dreadlords, which were the kings of those domains, which Strahd is one of the dreadlords. So one of the things, just the first thing off the top, is like the dreadlord has lost the ability to speak, and only when it wants to, it basically when it speaks, it like the message is carved in their skin and leaves a permanent scars on its skin. Like, I was like, that's pretty rad for a D&D official thing to say. So like, I don't know. I'll keep reading it and to see if it's any good. But we're cracking on with Tasha's for next month. So like, and then finished my Starbreach thing. So the next video for that will be out soon. So, which is not role playing, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So what you're telling me though, kind of winding it back to the Ravenloft just a little bit, this is the return of the campaign setting.
Yes,
this is an
effectively a campaign setting without set monster stats, which I'm perfectly fine with, because especially with the Dreadlord, where I'm like, you're probably not going to be able to kill them straight up, at least in my mind, at least in my world. Like, you're not going to be able to, you're going to have to figure out how to be smart enough to kill a Dreadlord. Like,
well, that was kind of like the conceit of the original Ravenloft in a certain way, right? It was kind of almost like little self-contained bubbles of like genre, horror genre, and you were supposed to kind of wind your way to the center where there would be like one of these characters that's almost emanating a horror genre off of them, and then you were going to try and defeat them, right?
Right. Yep. Exactly.
I dig it. Bring it back.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
Stoked as fuck. I'm stoked as fuck on that. Great, killer. Rob, what you got going on, bro?
So GMing wise, yeah, the Rock Marches, I actually completely forgot about that. Ran you guys through that. Enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun. First time with Mork Borg, so that was second time, but first on stream. Enjoyed that. Threw in a few Easter eggs. Nate, if I said to you they found a treasure which was a helmet that covered your entire head and had horns coming out the side, and you said the word Traegar to activate it, would that mean anything to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say side steps to the left. That's what I'd say. Nightmare. Awesome.
Yeah, not warning team. Yeah.
No idea.
Is
No idea.
Red Dwarf? Is this from Red Dwarf?
Americans wouldn't know this.
Oh.
No, we had a TV show. Sorry, Robert, jump in this one. But we had a TV show.
No, go for it.
Late in the 80s, where it was when I was at school, and I guess like the whole sort of Dungeons and Dragons satanic panic thing was bubbling around. Anyway, the concept of the show is basically you 3 players, kids or whatever, went to this realm and had to navigate around a very crudely CGI'd fortress. 3 kids would,
actually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Magical land. 3 kids would sit in this kind of like keep, accompanied by a dungeon master type character played by Hugo Meyer, and they would have to navigate another player through a labyrinth, if you like, and the kid would wear like a big, basically wearing like a dustbin on his fucking head, so he could obscure, basically so he wouldn't see that he was stuck in some warehouse in Coventry, presumably, rather than the magical realm. Yeah, it was really cool. It was like, I liked it. I applied actually to go on the show.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Go on YouTube, type in Nightmare with a K. Nightmare, and you'll see some clips of it. There's a classic there, sidestepping left.
Something if you got through the maze, was it one of those things where you got?
I never
like a copy of file.
I mean, I never saw anyone complete that fucking thing. And
I watched about 2 teams do. Yeah.
Wow.
It was really unfair.
They actually did like a live action version of it recently, where you could go and play and do this thing. But I mean, I don't know how successful that would be. But yeah,
apparently very good, very funny. Apparently, but yeah, but yeah, that was that. So that was my GMing. I'm playing in a Cypher System game run by Henry off of Dungeon Punk about whaling. Like we're going around a post-apocalyptic flooded world, which. Kind of Waterworld mixed with I thought they Finding Nemo, not Finding Nemo, the other one, the one with the whale, Moby Dick.
Call me Ishmael.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So it's like that. So that's good fun. That's a weekly game. Henry is absolutely nailing it with atmosphere. He's made this whole world, really going for it. So I've told him to expand it out Rock Marches style, so more people can get involved.
Yeah,
just full of ideas. Really good. I'm playing in my first ever vampire campaign.
Wow.
Not actually Vampire Masquerade. We're playing using a system called Fangs, which is like a tiny D6 version, like minimal D6 version, because you don't actually need rules. But I'm playing it with my friend Kat. She's been running Vampire since '92, I think.
Nice.
So she's like knows she's on it, and I'm playing a gross Nosferatu, who is very classic Nosferatu mixed with Voldo from Soul Calibur. So he's all sort of like wibbling around a lot.
He's got some eyes are not exactly in the right spot.
Yeah.
Where is this? Where is this based? Where are you guys playing the game out of right now?
I think we've said it's London in about 2015, but it's very amorphous. It's very. I did start playtesting Manchester by Night, which I think is coming at some point soon, but we didn't get too far on that. But yeah, it's London, but I don't really know London that well, so it's very a big British city in 2015 is where we've set it.
That's and it's always good to set those things back in time a little bit so you don't catch up and go beyond. So then it gets a little weird. But also you can go backwards. 2016 was such a big year kind of thing. Like politically, it's quite nice to set it a bit before. Right. Yeah. Especially Brexit and all that. So
yeah, I know that. And then finally, I've got the Dune book, the new Modiphius Dune, but I don't like the Modiphius D20 system. I know people like it. I don't. So I'm working on transferring that to the Cypher system because I know the Cypher system at the back of my hand, and I just think that'll be perfect. And I want to play Dune. I don't want to play the 2D20 version. So,
well, so we did a show on this in the spring, but like now that how much have you read? Have you seen anything that is how this works? Because they were very hush hush on how this worked. Like, what kind of characters are you playing? What kind of things are you doing? What's kind of the environment here?
For the ones that I've played and play tested, I think there's basically two modes of play. You can play agents, where you play the Fufa Howitts, the Duncan Idahos, the little guy. And you're not little, but you're still like the head of security. So it'd be you're on Arrakis, you're part of Hearts Atreides, and there's a problem going with spice manufacturing. Go sort it out, kind of thing. And that's called agent play. There's also what's called architects play, where you play the house and you decide on the house. And in that way, I think when you play with that level, you do more kind of stuff like, we need to take Caladan is now abandoned by the Atreides and we want to move in. So let's do a big grand campaign kind of thing. So you might play the house leader, but also you might also have an alt character as like a military guy as well. So you're kind of playing on different levels. Where it's going to fall down, I think, is the fact that what do you do away from the book? And I think how they've approached it is that because like Dune is this setting where it runs on nexus points of history and time and reality and stuff, just playing one of those other nexuses. Maybe you play in a environment where House Carrion isn't the Padishah Emperor. Maybe you play Atreides aren't handed Arrakis. What would it be like as this new house taking the fiefdom of Arrakis? So I think you kind of just, you got to play around with it. I think you have to play a lot of Elseworld with Dune, because I think Dune is so set and literally on the golden path. I've read a lot of Dune recently. Right. You need to sort of play, you want to play one of the other timelines almost.
Right.
And say, okay, what would it be if what if Fade Ralpha was the Kwisatz Haderach?
Right.
How do we go from there? Let's expand it out. And then things in his pants. So brilliant.
You guys hear me? All right.
Yes.
Am I back?
Yes.
Right.
You're finished melting. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. So it sounds like, and I came in at the end there, but it sounds like I might have missed something. It sounds like in response to a question of like, well, what is it you intend to role play with Dune? You're saying like, I intend to not role play it. Like, I want to role play something else. Is that right?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I think I'd like to play. I don't know yet. I don't know what I want to do with it. I'm getting it all together. I'm putting it all together. Then I've got the toolbox, and then I'll have a think about what I do. You know, it could be something cool. You could play like you're a bunch of Sardaukar who break out of Salusa Secundus. Like your programming fails, and you become this fucking like rogue A-team going across the galaxy, but you're Sardaukar kind of thing.
Well, I was talking to Khaldun Khalil about that, and he says he's not certain that like the Modiphius game could support an all Sardaukar campaign, but I personally think all Sardaukar sounds awesome. I think it could be really neat, really super interesting.
Yeah, I think there is a lot you can do. I think it's a system and a universe that requires pushing a bit further. It's not got that kind of, you know, Star Wars, you're all gunslingers, so it's easy. In D&D, you are literal adventurers. I think it's one where you've really got, it's more like World of Darknessy more. Like, why would I be doing this, or why am I pursuing these goals rather than by, you know, you've got to have a proper, no, I am loyal to Hal Tarkin and I will go on a suicide mission for them, like, and I will not question it, kind of thing. Like, I think you've got to really work at it a bit, and so I don't think as a game it will get very far. To be honest, I think it's quite. I think it's a very inaccessible universe. I think Dune simply is. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love Dune, but I think it's a very hard universe to play around in. There's not much to play with.
Yeah, I think that we'll have to kind of follow up as that game kind of continues to progress. Not just your Cypher one, but just the Modiphius one, and really just see, like, does this work? And kind of see what it is that Modiphius plans to make it work. Because, you know, many questions have been raised. They've been waiting so patiently, man. What about you? What have you been up to lately? Anything good?
Nah. Nothing good at all.
Awesome.
Let me think now. I haven't really been playing much of anything simply because me and the guys who are, you know, the other Dungeon Punks, sort of all spread out all over. Everyone's busy and shit, and also they're in a bunch of different games that they didn't invite me into. So you know, it's okay.
Liar.
No, it's cool. We've been playing Shadowrun. The one thing we have been doing is playing Shadowrun. Mark, because I like it when Mark DMs for that, because it means that I don't have to, and also because the way he does it, he's very ad lib and he's really like fluid in the way he does things, and it really suits that universe well. So it's kind of fun for me to do that because I get to be the dickhead in the game instead of those guys derailing my plans. So I get to derail theirs. So it's really cool, and it kind of gave me my appetite back for playing. And even though we're doing it online, it kind of Shadowrun works online. Do you know what I mean? Because it's all techie and shit like that. So even when you have little glitches and stuff, and it's super fun. And the actual role playing element of it, I thought would be more difficult. For some reason, I don't know. It's just it's working. Like everyone's really bought into their characters, and yeah, that's cool. So that's the only gaming I've been doing. Although I just got the Warlock. You hear about Warlock? Have you heard about this game?
No. What's that about?
Okay. It's basically like a real rules-light love letter to British role-playing from the 80s. So it's really along the lines of like the very early Warhammer fantasy role-play, in that you're not some hero. You know, you're not like some dashing paladin or some ranger motherfucker. You're like a bin man or a rat catcher. You know what I mean? You got some shitty job. You work for the council or whatever. You just, and you just have to work your way up. And it's the way it's done. I haven't even played it yet. But yeah, exactly. You just got like you're some shit heel who wants to go off and like get a better life, or just a less shit life, or maybe just murder people. I don't know. A legitimate reason to kill. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure working for the council, putting the bins out, you get a good pension, and you get Christmases off or Hogmanay off or whatever the fuck. But yeah, so anyway, I picked that up. A friend of mine put me sort of that on my radar, and it's very much my cup of tea. It's grim and miserable and hopeless, and that's kind of me, I guess. So I'm hoping to run that for the lads at some point. I know Bordy said he was interested, but most of the time, honestly, I've kind of stepped away from it because I got wrapped up in writing this thing for the last, I don't know, 6 months or whatever, and I'm kind of, you get like kind of saturated and your brain just turns to shit. That's where I'm at. So I kind of stepped away. The Shadowrun thing is easy. And now the book is out. People are asking me loads of fucking questions. So I'm going to have to get my gaming guy head back on. But yeah, so that's it. Shadowrun, really.
Cool, great.
But yeah.
Yeah, I play with Mark also. He's in my Esoteric Enterprises campaign. And
tell me about that. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, look. I've had a lot of fun with it. I don't want to talk it up too much. I've had a great time with those guys. So, I mean, mostly that's a Dungeon Punks game. Like, I play almost entirely with Dungeon Punks. That's me, Mark Boardman, Connor Boardman, Chris Kohler, Brenton Williams, and then Matt Sears. So there's like four Americans in there, and then a couple Brits, and a very strong FMRPG, like DXP kind of crossover vibe there. So you play that.
Some solid people in there.
Dude, yeah, for reals. And it's just been really fun. I've run it kind of as a beer and pretzels game. By the end of it, like there've been some times I'm like, I'm going to take this seriously, make it like a horror game. And then there's some, by the end of it, I was mostly like, I'm going to make this almost like a satirical World of Darkness game. I'm just going to, I'm going to kind of be tongue firmly in cheek with some of this shit. So we actually just wrapped that as my. That was the last thing I played. Was the last session of that, and now Mark's gonna be running Shadowrun for us. So I'm actually yeah. I'm stoked as fuck. I think I'm gonna play mage. You know, somebody threw up a picture from World of Darkness Ghouls or some shit. Ghouls Fatal Addiction on our WhatsApp group, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just play that character. I'm just gonna that picture. I'm gonna turn that into a character and play it, which is a very high school thing to do, and I'm very excited.
Sometimes something just triggers your imagination, doesn't it? You just go, that guy, yeah, that's cool, you know. So
I'm gonna do that. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to. I'm like reading Mage the Ascension, which I still believe is a fucking top shelf game, 100% behind it. Gonna run it, 700 pages. I'm on character creation right now. It's very long. So once I am able to finish that book, I'm gonna start running it for Richard and some other guys. Very excited.
Hell yeah, I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. So let's now that we've discussed all this, like exactly, zing.
Laser bolt.
So now we've discussed some RPG shit. Let's discuss some more RPG shit. So tell us about this campaign book you wrote, man. Like, what's the? You see, you said that you've been writing this 6 months. I think you've been writing it like on full time 6 months, but I looked through it and there's some elements in it that I can remember from you talking about, like your at home D&D game. Yeah. Seriously, like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well. Okay. So basically, it is the short version of this. Ager, who's one of the other guys, he pulled out of his ass maybe 18 months ago. He did like a little module called In the Name of Suffering. Okay. It's good. You know, it's cool. It's fun or whatever. And I'll be brutally honest with you. It really pissed me off that he was the first one of us to actually do his own book. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm really supportive of my friends, but fuck off. You know what I mean? Now that means I've got to come out. The way I look at it, Dungeon Punks, right? To listeners who don't know us, it's like we're like a council estate Wu-Tang clan. Okay. In that collectively we've got a thing, right? But now I've got to go off and make liquid swords. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the way I look at it. So. Anyway, that's what we did.
Is that not Goldie looking chain?
More like that, actually. Yeah, Goldie looking chain. Or I mean, I get. I'll take that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, basically he did that. Then we got offered this gig to write a thing for the Black Dahlia Murder, who are like a big death metal band, right? That I didn't really know much about. Ager got. I don't know how that happened, but they basically contacted us. I think it was through Nerdgore, actually. They contacted us and said, "Oh, we want to do an RPG module with our next thing, with our album, as part of the pre-order package. We hear you guys are the people to write it. Fuck knows who told them that." You know what I mean? There are people infinitely more qualified that, you know, we basically bodge our way through everything. But of course, the kind of dickheads we are, we were like, yeah, all right, give us some money, we'll do it. So we did it, and basically me and Ager sat around in my kitchen one day, and we had a big piece of wallpaper, and we just wrote down all these stupid ideas that we had and everything that popped into our head, stuff that we thought was funny more than anything else. We just sit there and make each other laugh. So there's a lot of British references in that game that I think a lot of these very earnest death metal dudes probably won't get. There's Rob, you know Jeremy Beadle, right? Yeah? Beadle?
Yeah,
little hand guy.
I was literally about to do sort of camera that I didn't. So yeah.
Well, there's a Jeremy Beadle reference in that game. Anyway, it's just weird shit like that. But anyway, off the back of that, I was thinking to myself, yo, if all these metalheads are buying our shit or have picked up this record, then maybe it would be good if we had something else to push off the back of that. You know, like that's an introduction to our little shitty world. Here's something else. So I just sort of knuckled down, and I had a lot of ideas that I've been sort of hanging around. Just sessions and stuff that I run with the guys that we had particular fun with. And I was like, all right, maybe I'll turn that into a module. Because I looked around on like Drive-Thru RPG or whatever, and I've downloaded modules and things like that sometimes to run as like a kind of like a gap filler in a session. Some bullshit on there, man. Do you know what I mean? I was like, These motherfuckers are getting paid for this. I just paid you $1.99 for some fucking weak shit. But like, do you know what I mean? So I was just like, I could do better than this. So that's all it was. It was just my narcissism and massive arrogance, basically, that drove me forward. So yeah, and I just put a few things together. And as I was doing it, I was like, okay, I'll make it sicker. I can always make. That's the kind of like my credo. It can always be sicker. Doesn't matter if it's a band or a book or whatever it is. What would make this more gnarly and upsetting? And a lot of the time, I think about my players. So I think about stuff that I know will upset Bordy, like directly. You know what I mean? Like, always find his little trigger spots. So I write things like that into, like, there's a monster in the game called a Kinder Golem, which is basically a Frankenstein made out of dead children. And I know that would be a sensitive issue for Mark, being a father, and like, there's he hates Jimmy Savile. So I just thought this will piss him off. I always want to get like an emotional reaction from my players and stuff.
Is your like lines?
Wait. Do you have a player who doesn't hate Jimmy Savile?
Me, I think. Do you know what I mean? I did a lot of wonderful work for charity, Hey, go Jimmy. Nah. But like Mark's reaction, Mark in particular, his reaction is really visceral to things like that. Like, I'll see his eyes well up with actual water when I say, like, I put these really emotive things in it, and my heart fucking sings. Do you know what I mean?
Look at this
so,
guy,
yeah, I put all these little things in there just to like kind of like trigger these responses, and I forget.
No X card at your table, huh? You're just like, no, fuck that.
I mean, they're more than welcomed. I mean, let's be honest. I don't sit there and do the gratuitous thing. Like, that's not really my style. I'm a fade to black, let the imagination work kind of guy. But at the same time, like I said, I like to. And I know Mark 25. He's like my oldest friend in the world. I love him to pieces. So I know what pushes his buttons, and I just want his engagement in the game. So a lot of the things I do, I just write for them guys because I know like they'll have fun with it, or I throw in a reference or something from an old film or whatever. So yeah, and that's all the Judas Halo is. It's just a bunch of my kind of like daft ideas and horrible things that rattle around in my head like a swarm of wasps, and put onto a page. And it was just a great opportunity, like bring in some friends and to work with artists and so on. But when I ran it, so I play tested it, but I didn't play test it with those dudes. Mm-hmm. I went onto this. This sounds sketchy, but whatever. So I went onto this there's like a meetup thing. Like, I guess most cities have like a meetup where you can go. You want to go learn macrame, or you want to learn fucking how to knit or some shit like that. Yeah. There's always be a group for it, right?
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so I was like, I need some random ass players who don't know me, don't know what kind of fucking monster I can be, just to get like do you know what I'm saying? Like, just to get like kind of like neutral feedback, because I could ask any of my friends, and they're always going to say, "Oh, it's cool," or they'd be nice,
Right.
But I said, sometimes you got to step out of your comfort zone, and plus how I DM for my friends that I've known for 20 odd years. Yeah, I like to challenge myself. I often do these things. I went and took a fucking weird art class one like summer, just to go and get the weird stories from the fucking crazy people that I share the class with.
Nate gets it. I don't know why people don't get it. Nate gets it. So yeah. So who'd you get from this fucking meetup? What came up with that?
So it was just like I literally put into the thing. I was like, yo, low fantasy setting. I said, I want to play this, like, it's going to be a scenario. It probably runs over 3 2-hour sessions, okay? And I got just a real mixed bag. It was like they were like normal people. I mean, I don't know what they're like outside of sitting around the table pretending to be a fucking wizard or whatever. But, yeah, there was a really nice girl called Sally Ann. There was 3 really good guys. Another guy who was, like, really... He didn't blink at all. Like, he had that really weird staring eyes that never blinked. So that was kind of weird, a little unsettling. But I thought maybe he was trying to fuck with me, so I just didn't blink back at him. What else? Oh, God, there was this one guy, and he's the only dude. Right. I try and be tolerant, okay, and inclusive, but this one motherfucker was pushing my buttons from the start. So, like... It's a low fantasy setting, so everyone comes in going, okay, I'm going to be like a beggar knight, I'm going to be like a criminal mage, something like that, that would suit the setting. This guy comes in saying he's going to be like, I want to be a a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle who grows weed inside his shell. Okay? So imagine my face. I'm like, cool, man. All right, no. And because inside, I'm just going, this guy just fucking, is he mad? Like, what energy am I putting out here that this guy thinks I'm going to roll with this? Anyway, it needs to say.
What do you end up rolling?
He had like some weird. I let him go with the turtle man thing. I forget what he was called, but I ended up like bouncing him. Like my villains ended up bouncing him around like fucking Koopa, you know, in Super Mario, like fucking that little fucker around all over the place. So yeah, I wasn't into that dude at all. But the other dudes and lady who were playing, I got the impression they were kind of annoyed at him because none of them knew each other. It was like a complete random selection. I think I got the impression that a couple of them got quite short-tempered with him because you're kind of killing the vibe. It was clear the vibe I was trying to build, and also it was in like a neutral space. It's in the back of a crappy old pub in Leeds, like this weird gamers place. But it went really well, anyways.
So in Leeds, there's a pub that has a place in the back where you can play games, and you say it's a gamers place?
Yeah.
Is it known by gamers that you can meet there, or do they try to bring in that group? We don't have this in America. This is not a thing.
It's right. Okay. Well, it's not like a. Maybe I've made it sound better than it is, but what it is like it's a city centre pub, and they've got an upstairs it's like a back room or a smaller bar, if you like. And I think it was every Tuesday and every Thursday, essentially a very loose knit club meets there and plays different games. So you go in and there's like maybe 4 or 5 different tables. Doing different stuff. Someone might be playing D&D, someone might be playing, Shadowrun or Mage or Vampire or whatever you have it. And people use this very loose kind of forum to run games. So yeah, it's a gamer friendly pub. Yeah, it's a good space actually.
That's cool as
it was cool when I ran.
There's a good one of them in Manchester, which is Flower and Flagon. Yeah, Flower and Flagons does Dungeons and Flagons every Wednesday night, and it's the same sort of thing. Backspace is normally for gigs and that, but when it's not gigs, they do RPG all day and stuff like that, so you can go get a drink at the front and then come back. It's really good. Brendan, just so if you're not aware, and Richie, Leeds is like, Mordor.
Yeah.
Imagine that,
not
but with work. But it's like that, but with worse people.
So worse than orcs. So you're saying that worse than orcs and ring wraiths, Leeds people from Leeds.
Yeah, just more sort of racist and more.
Oh, okay.
Let's say this. What you've done there, Rob, is you tried to get a rise out of me, so allow me to report.
Yeah.
Firstly, I'm not from Leeds, so I don't take any.
You're from Essex, aren't you?
No, fuck, now you're taking a piss. Like, I'm from Kent, mate. Essex, that's the wrong side of the fucking estuary.
Oh, from Kent, right.
That's Mordor. Right. That's Mordor.
So Essex and Essex and Kent are like France, basically.
Yeah, it might as well be another country, do you know what I mean?
I asked Rob if he was from Bath the other day, and he was pretty upset with me about making that reference, so...
Where are you from, Rob?
Leeds is sound. I'm from Manchester.
Is it? Oh, fair enough. I see. I like Manchester a lot, but I have no real loyalty to Leeds. I've lived there for 16 years, but I live closer to Bradford, which is the biggest shithole.
Yeah. Cities are cities.
Yeah.
People are dicks.
In it, but this is true. I will say that Manchester has a far greater cultural identity than Leeds will ever have, and also they're really good for their anti-fascist actions, which I applaud. Greatly. Anyway, so yeah, what was I going to say? Where were we, Brendan? Sorry, got derailed.
So, okay, you went to Leeds. There was this bar there. You had met some people who were kind of like all vibing on the same frequency, but then this one dude shows up. He wants to play Stoner Hammer or something. You bounced him out.
I didn't bounce him out. He basically got vibed out by the other dudes, and just one of those kind of guys who wants to come in. We were trying to run and get the vibe, and I wanted to feel out this scenario to make sure it worked, make sure the different things in the book worked. And this guy was just being a dick. He was trying to make it a show about him. You know what I mean? You know those kind of players who come in and just like, look at me, everyone, I'm the wacky guy. I got no time for that shit. So he hit the road. and we finished it out. And unfortunately, I didn't get to the final session because lockdown happened, and we, schedules and things like that, we couldn't finish. So the last bit never got play tested with those group of people. But the best compliment I got was there was a guy there, and I guess he was a seasoned player. Like, he played in a bunch of different groups, and on the one occasion he said, "I've cancelled my long running game just to come and play with you because this is fucked. This game is fucked." I was like, oh. He called it D&D Noir, which I take as that's perfect. That describes it great. So yeah, we did that, and it was really fun. I've sent a couple of copies out to the books to the people. There's like 2 people I was in touch with outside of that particular forum. Mm-hmm. I would like to find the other 2 dudes, just Unblinking guy and D&D Noir guy, just so they can have. As far as I'm concerned, they participated in the creation of this thing, so they should get a copy of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because the guy said to me at the time, he was like, "Yo, are you all right if I steal all these ideas?" Because he didn't know I was going to publish it at the time. He said, "You all right if I steal all your ideas and run this for my friend?" I was like, "Yeah, cool, man. Crack on."
Yeah, ideas are ideas,
so, yeah,
man.
That was that.
People don't understand that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm just
we've got, with all this like DMCA and stuff, we've had like fucking 20 years of just like people telling you that like ideas are property and you can own ideas and that ideas cost money. But guess what, everybody? Ideas are for free, and work of doing something is what makes an idea real. So if you have ideas or you hear ideas, do shit with your fucking ideas. Don't sit on a giant pile of ideas and wait for money to somehow start falling into your hands. This is not how. I don't know.
I mean, that's the other thing I kind of take issue with people, being so fucking entitled about shit like that. I mean, it's one thing to like plagiarize and then pass it off as your own, blah blah blah,
right?
Whatever. But if I'm throwing an idea at that dude, I'm like, run with it, man. I don't care. I didn't do this to make a shit ton of money or anything. If I wanted to make money, I wouldn't be making nickel and dime fucking D&D modules. You know what I mean? Like, so there's an easier way to learn a quid.
For real.
So yeah.
That should be a class in Warlock. You should be D&D writer. It's like, you start with 1 silver piece and
broke ass.
Yeah,
broke
unfulfilled gamer. Unfulfilled gamer. Yeah.
Exactly.
Shit, man.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of. I'm glad it all kind of came together.
You wrote this for D&D 5, and it sounds like grim and like bleak as fuck. And the thing is that 5, it's also low fantasy, so it seems almost like, in a certain sense, it's like a contradiction, because D&D 5 is very. It's like oh, here's cat people, and I'm like a crystal wizard cat person, and also it's almost impossible to kill my character. My character's like nearly immortal. So how do you reconcile the sort of like baked in kind of like power fantasy and anthropomorphic creatures and fantastic airships and shit like that with the way that you wrote the game?
Well, first of all, I guess I'm not really setting it in their realm as such. Like, I'm setting in my version of that, which is more closer to like a fight and fantasy realm, I suppose, something like that. And also the setting is kind of intrinsic to certain classes being picked, if you like. So the setting exists in a realm where magic is ostensibly outlawed and non-human races are prejudiced against. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So there's one sequence in the game where you wander up to the fucking keep, the gates. I wrote it right when Trump was talking about building a wall. Okay, so there's a big wall around this particular realm. And when you tip up, if you are like put it this way, if you don't look too like a human white boy, then it's not going to go great for you. Do you know what I'm saying? Everyone's going to be on your shit. So, but I don't say that at the beginning because obviously that's what drives the interactions. If someone tips up going, flashing their magic around and looking like a half orc or what have you, they're going to run into troubles. And to counteract any of those characters being too powerful, they're going to draw the attention of a lot of bad guys, if you like. Do you know what I mean? So, like,
sure.
It doesn't pay in this game to go flashing your shit around town. Not really, because there will be like a repercussion to it. So it plays it plays more, and I wrote it more, almost like a mystery, like a conspiracy that unfolds, and intelligence and smart role playing is rewarded, whereas like zapping people with your magic dick doesn't. Do you know what I'm saying?
What class is that again?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's Bard.
Magic dill guy.
Big zappers.
Yeah. So yeah, and I also at the beginning I was like,
I'm not gonna lie, just on. I was going to say that the tone. Sorry, just back on that. As I was reading it, I was going through it with a pen, basically, and thinking Mork Borg. I was just like, this is a perfect Mork Borg saying, yeah, 100%. That's what I'm planning to do. Run it, Mork Borg it, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of my plan. I wrote it for 5e because that's what most people play. The way I look at it is like, you can get vanilla ice cream and you can put topping on it and you can put loads of cool shit on top of it. It's still vanilla ice cream at the bottom, but people can expand upon it. And that's what I figure with this. Everyone likes vanilla ice cream, but if you stick enough garbage on it, it looks like something else.
We were having
a look at it. So
this exact argument, right?
We were having this exact conversation on the Discord, and 5e ended up being the equivalent of the missionary position. Like.
Yeah. It's margarita pizza. Everyone likes fucking pizza. Do you know what I'm saying?
I like vanilla ice cream. I don't know why the chocolate crowd has somehow defined itself as being like these connoisseurs of worldly living. Like somehow liking chocolate bars makes you a person of refined taste, whereas if you like vanilla, that means you're some boring person. I've never understood that dichotomy. I think vanilla is most delicious of the flavors.
I mean, so that's basically my thought of it. I just thought I'll make it for the most accessible thing, and then maybe people will read it and be like, "Oh shit," you know what I'm saying? And then maybe want to explore. Maybe they'll explore other systems or things that will work better for it. But I just thought if you come in with your stabilizer, your lowest common denominator, and then if you've got out about you as a DM or as a player, then fucking make it fit what other system you do want to play. Like I don't care about that shit. I'm offering you a story.
When you look at the cover, you can get a real sense of what the game's gonna be like. I think the cover is great. And then the title's also great. Cover title together, you kind of are getting a really strong sense of what's gonna be in the package. And I think that if you bring that to your party and they're like, "Well, I want to play an elf, and I want to play a tiefling, and I want to play a cat person," you're gonna be like, "No, you guys aren't getting it." You can kind of show them the cover and be like, "This is what we're doing. Like, pick something like this," I
mean, sometimes I like it when they play those characters. I'm like, "Oh no, cool, man. You want to be the wackiest mother? See how far that gets you. Like, see how far you come up against a bunch of racist fucking dudes who want to nail you to a cross. Please be my guest." And also because it makes things interesting. You know what I mean? I like that. I would hate it for a party to be like, "Oh, we're all human warriors." Fuck that shit. But just be inventive. Like even how you get into the keep in the middle of the game. You can't just walk up looking like, swinging your axe and breathing dragon fire or whatever. You need to figure some shit out. So, for my first attempt at writing a thing on my own, I'm pretty pleased with how it's come out.
Nice.
I could make it better and, whatever, but I don't know. It's cool, I guess.
It says in the back there's a part 2 coming.
Well, I mean, I'm a firm believer in putting Easter eggs, and I put loads of plot. Basically, in my head, I left the arse end of that game quite open-ended because there's a lot of moral dilemmas and things like that in it, and there is a greater conspiracy. Without wanting to be a cool DM guy, there's a greater conspiracy. There's a much bigger story. I've already commissioned other artwork, for the future. But obviously, I need to justify it basically. So like, if people don't buy it, what's the point of me writing another one? Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I shifted enough on. Put it this way, we shifted enough on a pre-order for me to justify writing another one, and I've already had a bit of feedback from people picking holes in it, who found the flaws in it. So at least they're fucking reading it, right? I forgot to put a rule in about possession or some shit, but whatever.
Is this like your George Lucas moment where people are like, "Wait a minute, how can you say when I met your father, he was already a great pilot? And he was a child."
What the hell?
I mean, don't compare me. I mean, it depends which George Lucas you're comparing me to. If you're comparing me to like Empire Strikes Back, George Lucas, then yeah, that's fine.
But you mean where he like
Phantom Menace, George Lucas, because he's like
gave everybody else control.
I mean,
yeah, you're saying you want to be compared to the George Lucas who like went to the catering table and was like eating while everybody else was doing the hard work and making the movie awesome. Is that George Lucas?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that guy.
Yeah, that's Lucas. I thought I really appreciated how you wrote the end bit. I think that was really well done. The keep, in terms of you were like, this is the keep, this is the situation. This is what's happened in my games. You know, I've run it a couple of times and there's been jailbreaks. And I think that is so important because written modules, when they do give you no flexibility, are just the worst thing. You know, when it is just like, oh, the players will do this and then they might do this. And you're like, but what if they don't? And then I really appreciated that. I just think that's a really good way of putting it down kind of thing. I don't read modules. I always get about halfway through a module and I'm like, all right, cool. I did read this. I read this through. I was disappointed that Sir Ian of Brown didn't turn up halfway through claiming that illnesses are not real and trying to remove everyone's helmets. Because that would have been.
I'm glad you got that reference.
That would have been very topical. Yeah.
John Squire's in there.
That would have been good. John Esquire. That was great.
Yeah.
American.
I'm trying to put a load of different things in there. There's a lot of British. I don't know, because I figured that mostly a lot of British people would be reading this shit. So I put in loads of like little kind of like even the what's it called, the magic potion. Did you see that? It's made by a guy called Lucas Hard. So it's like it's Lucasade. No. That's all I could think of, you know. There's loads of shit like that.
That's excellent.
If you're an Anglophile living in America, or if you're one of our listeners in the UK, then you should avail yourself of this module. And really, I endorse the module. I endorse everything that Dungeon Punks does, 100%. You know, I hope people pick it up. Where can they get it? Just if they're interested. We'll throw a link in the show notes, but where can they get it?
Okay, so currently it's available. We have it on the Core Hammer Big Cartel. So if you go to Dungeon Punks, like the Instagram, there's a link. Ager's put a link up there, so you can go straight there and buy it. Having said that, shipping to the States for anything at the moment is absurd, and I personally can't justify the cost of postage to America right now. I think it's fine. I tried to send a T-shirt to my mate the other day, and the postage was £16 for a fucking T-shirt. That's mental. So I'm working on. Yeah, America is now cost the same to send stuff as to Australia. They've changed it in the last.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
are you for fucking reals?
It's mental.
Dude, that's backbreaking.
Because I sent that box to you, Brendan, and that was £3.50.
Sent where?
I sent a box to Brendan of miniatures like a month ago. It was like £3.50, like about a month ago, honestly.
Fucking hell. Well, I know. When we started sending these things out, they've definitely hiked the prices up. Like, I mean, let me see. I sent a T-shirt. There was a couple of zines in there, but even so, it was still a lot of money. And when I asked the dude at the post office, he said that they've changed like the regions for it now, so that there's worldwide, Europe, and domestic, which is causing a problem. So, I mean, even if I've got a couple of people who are interested in distributing in the States, but even so, still sending it out there would cost, a quantity would cost me a fucking fortune. So, I'm not really sure what to do yet. I was going to see if maybe I could print out there, like send a PDF, have it printed out there at a printing store, and then distribute it that way. That's something I'm looking at. If not, I need to get the PDF out there as well. I don't know. I was going to ask you guys about this. Do people do that? I mean, the drive-through RPG.
Man. For real, you should do it. You know? If you're having that distribution difficulty, you should totally. I would say drive-through RPG. I'm not in love with the drive-through RPG quality of product, but it's like not that different than just other print-on-demand sources. Like you could either go like drive-through RPG, or you could go Lulu or something like that. But there's nothing about Lulu that is so much better in terms of quality that it would make up for the fact that people are on drive-through RPG every single fucking day looking for role-playing material, you know? And they're looking for good role-playing material, as you just said. They don't want some kind of like, oh, I could have just snuck into the bathroom and like scribbled this on a napkin thing, you know? So I think that's a good idea.
We might know somebody that might be interested in bringing your module over too. So like, one of our friends, a friend over Exalted,
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you talked to Matt at Exalted Funeral?
Bordy actually told me about that, and I've been. It was supposed to be my job this weekend. Was going to email a bunch of people. There's like a little occult store in Portland as well called Abraxas Unleashed, who were interested in taking some shit. So I can kind of get it around to people. I'm just trying to figure out the most economically viable. Because the thing is with me, right? I'm a punk. I hate charging people for shit. Right. Even the fact that people have bought this thing fills me with absolute dread, because I just think to myself, you could have gone and bought a Dungeons & Dragons book. Why didn't you buy something properly? I'm a fucking idiot in my attic writing this nonsense. And I'm expecting you to give me money for it. Do you know what I mean? I try and... I'm the same with everything, man, whether it's music or a zine or a fucking book. The amount of existential dread I have over people reading this thing is massive. So I really don't like charging people for things at all. I really struggle with it.
I love it because you've written the game to cause other people existential dread, so they can cause you existential dread now by consuming it.
The circle is complete.
Yeah, get out there.
Ouroboros, a snake's biting his own ass.
Yeah. Put Nate in the hot seat and buy his book. Make him sweat at night.
Yeah, for real.
It's horrible. I mean, this is the thing. This is my right. Here's my big problem. I don't know if anyone else who does this. So I love making stuff. Like I like writing shit, stories. I'm writing a horror story for an anthology at the moment. The fact that anyone wants me to do it, I just think they're taking a piss out of me. I'm like, no, you must have got me mistaken with someone else. Are you doing this to make fun of me? I always think there's like some bonkers reason for it. And the moment I put anything out into the world, I hate it straight away. I have to distance. You know what I mean? I'm just like, this is a piece of shit. You know what I mean? I can do better. Please come back next time. I'll do better. I know it sounds stupid and self-effacing, but I've never gotten over that. I think I have this massive fear of failure when it comes to anything. So why I thought I was qualified to write a fucking D&D book is beyond me. But
are you ready Are you ready for me to say the most American thing that I can say to you right now, Nate?
For it. Come on then.
Maybe you're afraid of success.
Wow. Wow, America. Fuck yeah.
Goosebumps.
That's maybe a little too American for even me.
And then an American flag like goes behind my and fireworks.
We're not standing. We're not standing.
Like
I thought we were standing.
I want to see an eagle fly.
All of a sudden, a top hat pops
an eagle fly in slow
hat.
motion.
You're like, oh my god!
Eagle comes down.
I'm a wealthy creator.
Yeah, the whole bit.
All right, man, we'll do this.
Maybe in America, I could sell that shit.
Well, okay, so
not in England, mate. Not in England.
I see that our time is kind of running low here, so I'm gonna take this opportunity because we said in our fucking Discord that we were gonna have a very special announcement today, and so here it is. We're gonna go ahead with it. So after 5.5 years of doing Full Metal RPG, I've decided to step aside. I'm no longer going to be hosting the show. It was a big decision. Well, a lot of thought came into it, and I'm just at the spot where it's time for me to do some other things. I'd really like to take the energy and the time that I put into Full Metal RPG and put them into some other stuff, kind of like what Nate was saying. I'm kind of looking forward to locking myself in the attic and doing some writing and really finishing up some projects that have been kind of like languishing, like half done for like a long time. I really just want to kind of crush them out now. And Richard, who is my like longtime like confidant and counselor, the last 2 years, like I've been going to him like once every 6 months and being like, I think it's time for me to quit. I don't think I can fucking take it anymore. And then he goes, well, have you considered XYZ? And then I go, okay, I guess I can do it. And we do this every 6 months. And
yeah, it's a dance. It's a dance we do every 6 months. Yeah, and I finally said, okay, dude, I understand.
Well, the thing is this time I knew I wasn't going to be going to him and saying, I don't know, I'm thinking about quitting. I knew that I was walking up to say, I'm quitting. I can't do it anymore. So everything has its end. You know, Peter Steele, fucking typo negative, everything dies. And I've had a lot of fun doing this show. I've loved doing this show. This is not the last one. I have, I think, 4 more episodes in me after this one. But I'm really happy that I was able to have you on, Nate, before the end, you know. So Richard and I did talk it over, and we were talking about the potential of just letting the show go, but Richard has decided to carry on Full Metal RPG. He is kind of rearranging some chairs and bringing in some new people, some new voices, and giving the show a new look and a new vibe that he's discussed with me. And I feel like it's very on message. I feel like Richard has worked very hard over the last 2 years to really perfect his podcasting game, and he has my support 100% in continuing the show. Whatever it is that he wants to do, I am happy that he is doing it. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things. We've got in June we're going to be doing the deep dive. It's going to be me, Richard, my homie Eric Manch, and the show, all deep diving through Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And then in July, I have a interview that I'm trying to wrangle. And then I want to do one episode where I just come on and say goodbye to everybody. But then it's done. Then in August it's going to be Richard's show. So Nate, thanks for coming on the show, man. Thanks for hanging out with me at long last. It only took us 5 years to do the thing that we should have done
Thank
5
you.
years ago.
I know.
Yeah.
For sure. Hey, I just want to say, Brendan, you've done an amazing thing with this podcast. My interest in podcasts sort of dwindles from time to time, but you've always, the content and your knowledge and the things you put across and the way you articulate yourself, and most of your enthusiasm for these games, it ignites a lot of kind of like passions and interest in other people. And I will say this much, in the things you did and the way you were trying to do the Kickstarter before, the Patreon, should I say, and also the games you've come up with really inspired me to carry on, you know, to push forward doing these things. I know that we talked before about it when you were struggling at one time, coming up with ideas, and not with ideas, but, you know, like pushing yourself forward with it. And I thought about that a lot when I was doing this, and I thought, take the advice you gave, Brendan, and, you know, you did great things. This podcast's fucking awesome. It's the one place I would come to for legitimate insight and, you know, quality content. So I think it's a great shame you're packing it in, but I know you're going to go off and take that time and energy to do awesome things for yourself, which I obviously encourage, and I'm sure you'll be dipping back in. But Rich is going to do a great job and brings a fresh energy to this as well. So, you know, fair play to you all. But I'm really glad you had me on. Thanks a lot, and, you know, best of luck for both of you with how things proceed.
And thank you for saying that, man. It means a lot. It means a lot. And I mean, I you know, it means a lot to hear that from you. And I'm not gonna lie, when I was sitting here making my decision, I was like, you know, Nathan stepped back from Dungeon Punks, and it's given him room to do some of these other things. And I just really, that's the room that it is that I'm looking for. But like you said, I'll be dipping back in, and I kind of, the thing I don't want to lose is the big community that we've built over the last 5 years. The way that all the like Dungeon Punks, Full Metal RPG, Human Energy Field, the way like we all Middle Earth Crisis, my favorite Warhammer podcast. The way we all work together to. Our Warhammer podcast is only my second favorite. I'm sorry, dude. It's a good show.
Mr. Alex GB in the Twitch chat has a good point. You'll be back. You'll be back, and also you're going to be in my ear at all times. If I make a step outside, you're going to be like, "Hey, dude, what's up?" So I know you're going to be in the audience. I know you're going to hear it.
Your show now.
I know it's my show. It'll be my show, and Ashley's stepping up to help me out. But I've got some other friends. We're gonna bring them on. Hell, I was after we finished 13th Age last night. We were practically doing a podcast about D&D versus 13th Age last night with some of my other friends. So like, I got plenty of people I know, and if we're gonna continue to try and bring it as we always have, as Brendan has. Brendan is a character. I can't match that character. It's just not me. I'm, Brendan is a unique person that has really helped me out a lot. And it's going to be real interesting to try and steer this ship, the small rowboat of Fullmetal RPG, as the Brendan stands. I hope to entertain them. I hope to keep them, but I totally understand because I'm a Brendan stan and I am sad too. So,
that's too much. You're too much, man. Too much. I'm getting all verklempt.
And the thing is, you're going to bring in your own fans as well, Richard. You know, I mean, you'll bring in people who perhaps are repulsed by Brendan.
That's true. That's true. We might grow the audience.
Yo, Dungeon Punk's got way more listeners after I quit. They were like, "Thank fuck, that guy's gone." You know. No, I'm only kidding, man. But like,
thanks everybody for listening. Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Nathan. Thank you for coming on the show, making the show what it is. I really appreciate all of you, and I appreciate everybody who's tuned into the Twitch. Appreciate everybody who's listening to the episode right now in your car or wherever. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for listening to Fullmetal RPG. Have a great night.
Rah.